Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. Today we are going to discuss some more topics. So the first one is steps for social transformation. As you know that the East India Company, जैसे मैंने आपको पिछले लेक्चर्स में बताया था, that East India Company, the Britisher came as traders through this East India Company, and then they controlled the whole subcontinent. They expanded their trade and controlled the whole subcontinent because the rulers were weak. Okay, after getting control of the subcontinent, they tried to bring some social reforms. Now, what are the social reforms? Social reforms means to bring some change in the society, to bring some change in the thinking of the people of the society, belong to the society. Okay, so the British interfered religious and the social values of the people of the subcontinent or the local people, and it was against the royal proclamation, but they wanted to bring a change in the society according to their own will, though it was against the values of the Indians. So what happened? They introduced such kind of reforms which were intolerable for the Hindus as well as for the Muslims. Now, what were those social reforms, or what kind of changes they wanted to bring in the society? So the one was remarriage of Hindu widows. In fact, at that time, remarriage of the widow, it was considered totally forbidden in the society. Usually the widow had no right to live after the death of her husband. उसको भी साथ में जला दिया जाता था. So one thing was they started this remarriage of the widows, and then Christianity was preached openly. Okay, as you know that Hindus were in majority in the subcontinent and Muslims were in the minority. But what happened? That they started preaching Christianity to the local people openly, and even they started making the street children Christians. Then Western system of education was introduced. At that time, though the Hindus had their own education system, and the Muslims children, they used to go to the madrasas. The local languages or the oriental languages, the education system was based on the local languages, and the people used to go to the madrasas. But what happened, that they introduced modern education and modern Christian institutions, a Western system of education in the subcontinent. In your second chapter, we are going to discuss it in detail, that what were the impacts of those Western education system on the Muslims, or how the Muslims reacted and how the Hindus reacted. It is a very long story. I am going to tell you in your second chapter that how Sir Syed Ahmad Khan bring them back to the mainstream, especially the Muslims, with the help of the new education system. Okay, and then the next thing was, as I told you, that the East India Company army was in control of the British government then, the British Crown, and they also recruited Indian soldiers in the army, but the Indian soldiers, they were getting less salary, there were no allowances or less allowances for them as compared to the British soldiers, though they were working as hard as them. But the behavior of the British officers was very based on the hatred and the cruelty, and in fact, most of the time, their behavior was based on hatred, because they thought that the British are superior than the Indians. Okay, and then what happened, that the non-Muslim soldiers, they were compelled to go to overseas. Okay, and there was an imbalanced division of the army. There were no promotions for the local soldiers, and on the whole, we can say that the Indian soldiers were facing a lot of problems in the army. Okay, so as I told you, the Britishers, they directly ruled the subcontinent after the abolishment of the East India Company. And what happened? The Secretary of State and the Indian consuls were established, and they brought changes in the rule and regulations of the army. In fact, they worked on the policy which was divide and rule. Now how? To divide the people, the local people, with they had a lot of conspiracies, and they developed such kind of atmosphere among them, which was based on hatred, cruelty, and definitely that helped them to rule the subcontinent. Okay, now the next thing is we are going to discuss some of the policy of the British government. So the first one is the education policy. As I told you before, that before the East India Company, or the direct control of the British government, there was a madrasa system in the subcontinent. Now, in fact, both of the nations, Hindus and Muslims, they were getting education of its own religion. Though they did not bring any change in the starting, but later on, with the passage of the time, the British advised the government to introduce modern education. Now, this modern education, this policy was adopted in the light of Macaulay Minutes, which came in 1836 to 37, and the Wood Dispatch in 1854. Okay, so now we will discuss stepwise that how they introduced the British education system here. In 1811, Lord Mayo, okay, what happened, that he gave the proposal to establish new educational institutes and improve the existing institutions, educational institutions, okay. And then a new clause was added in the Act of 1813, and 1 lakh grant was allocated for the promotion of science and literature. As I told you, they wanted to bring modern education in the subcontinent. So what happened, that they decided that 1 lakh rupees will be allocated for the promotion of the science and literature. In 1818, in Calcutta, a Christian bishop, he started an educational institute where the Christian youth was taught in Christianity, and the Muslims and Hindus, they were given education in English language. What happened in 1824, a college was established in Bombay, and a school was established in Pune in 1833 for the upper class of Indians. Okay, the idea was to give education to a specific class, so then they can further teach the lower classes in their own languages. Okay, and it was said that highly educated people will get the government jobs. And then, okay, with the passage of time, the demand of the English books increased. Now, the problem raised that the medium of education should be English or the local languages or Oriental languages. In fact, the British government set up a committee to resolve this problem, and Lord Macaulay was the chairman of that committee. In fact, Lord Macaulay was totally in favor of English, and he rejected and refused these local languages. He discouraged the Oriental languages, the local languages. He was not favor of these languages. So it was said that the government then adopted such kind of policy that education will be imparted in English. Now what happened? And they said that all the funds will allocate it to the English and science studies. The Muslims especially, they had faced a lot of problems because of this English education. Now, one thing I want to clear it here, Muslims were especially against the modern education because they thought that if we will send our children to the modern education institutes, they may lose their identity or it will be harmful for their faith. In 1844, a resolution was declared that preference will be given to the people who knew English. Okay. Now I'll one of the quote here by Lord Auckland, that Indians will be educated in the European language, literature, science and philosophy. So those people will be given preference who knew English and science. Okay, now something about the Wood's Dispatch. What was Wood Dispatch? It was a theory of education which was presented by Sir Charles Woods. He presented his proposal to the government in 1854. 1854, Sir Charles Woods. Okay, I'll briefly tell you what was this Wood's Dispatch. He also gave importance to the English and science studies, and definitely he said that the primary and secondary education systems or schools should be established, and definitely later on the British level universities in India also should be established, and these universities should be established in Calcutta, Madras and Bombay. The appointment of the Chancellor and the Vice Chancellors, Senate and skilled professors were also recommended, and the secondary and degree colleges will function under these universities which will be established in these cities. Okay, and there will be education department in each province, and there would be training institutes for the teachers so they can be trained and they can be skilled. Educational scholarship, women education and provincial directorate of education were also recommended. And Director General of the country should be appointed. The British Viceroy Lord Dalhousie acted upon the recommendations of the Woods. It is regarded as the landmark of education in India, this Wood Dispatch, because he recommended the different schools, the primary, higher education, and then the universities in the India. So this is definitely a landmark in the education in India. Okay. Next is Hunter Commission. So Lord Ripon, he established a commission to review this Wood's Dispatch or Wood's recommendations. Okay, and he said that later on these institutions will be privatized. And what happened, that he said that higher education will be also promoted. The free textbooks and for the people will be available. Education officers will be appointed, and scholarship, mental and physical education will be arranged for the people. The government approved those recommendations. And then Universities Act 1904, Lord Curzon appointed a commission to make universities more efficient, and on the basis of report of that commission, he approved Universities Act. Now here Lord Curzon wanted to do something in the higher education to make this system better and better. Now, with this Universities Act 1904, the hold of the government was more strengthened in the institutions. Okay, now the other reforms were the secondary and higher secondary education would be given to the secondary boards. A board would be set up to encourage women education especially, and up to high level the education will be given in mother tongue. Then in the 1919 and 1935 acts, education departments were handed over to the ministries, and a more responsibility were delegated to the government, to the provinces. So these were the educational. This was the education setup of the British government, or you can say that British educational policy. Let's discuss that what were the objectives of this British educational system. What were objectives behind this whole policy or the system, or they wanted to bring, and what kind of change they wanted to bring in the subcontinent. So the very first objective of this British education system was to promote modern education. As I told you that the madrasa system was here, and the Hindus and Muslims, they were getting education in their own, according to their own religious values. So they wanted to bring modern education, especially science and English. They wanted to promote English and science, and they introduced these kind of subjects here. Okay, now there was another objectives. In fact, they wanted to preach Christianity. As I told you before, that some of the institutions, they openly preached Christianity, and they started to convert the street children to the Christianity. Okay. The British government especially encouraged those educational institutes which were preaching Christianity. And then the third topic was that the Muslims were, the British government, they were afraid of the Muslims and their religious institutions. As you know, that the last emperor, Mughal emperor, whose name was Bahadur Shah Zafar, he was dethroned, and the East India Company controlled the subcontinent. So they were afraid of the Muslims. They were afraid of the Muslims' educational institutions. So they specially involved the Muslims in their modern education, because they were a challenge to the British crown. And then the British education system was important for the civil services to get a government job. It was compulsory that the people who knew English and science, they will get the job, and they wanted to produce good civil services servants to run the civil service. So they wanted to educate the local people according to their own wishes. And then another thing was that they wanted to combat Islam. How? With the help of the science. Okay, they wanted to use science to combat Islam. And then Special attention was given to the vocational and the women education. The British government, they wanted to control the nation with this education policy. They wanted to produce such kind of nation, future nation, which will be fully in their control. And then the last thing is they wanted to enforce European culture. Of course, as I told you, that the Muslims were challenged to them. They wanted to combat this thing, and they tried their level best to enforce European culture through this education policy. Okay, one thing is written here that Lord Macaulay once said that the objectives of the Indian education system were to produce such Indians who would be physically Indians but mentally British. Okay, and then the results of the British education system. What were the result? Of course, English got popularity. It was considered as a superior language. So people started learning English language. And then they got their religious objectives, as I told you, that they were preaching Christianity. The third one was that they, in fact, they targeted Muslim education system. They wanted to abolish the Muslim education system. Muslim gained benefits through their achievements in the science. The University Act 1904 was highly criticized by the people because they realized that the British government wanted to have a grip on the education, and with the help of this grip on education, they wanted to have a fully controlled nation. And then here it is in your book, you can see that Allama Iqbal, he criticized these objectives of the Western education system and said, और ये अहले कलीसा का निज़ाम तालीम, it means that is अहले कलीसा का निज़ाम तालीम कि जो क्रिश्चियंस जो निज़ाम तालीम दे रहे हैं, एक साजिश है फ़कत दीन और मिल्लत के ख़िलाफ़, कि ये मुसलमानों के ख़िलाफ़ एक कंप्लीट साजिश है. They targeted this Muslim education system. And the next जो अगला शेर है, गला तो घोंट दिया अहले मदरसा ने तेरा, कहाँ से आए सदा ला इलाहा इल्लल्लाह. Because they were preaching Christianity. It was their mission. They wanted to change the minds of the youth. Okay, and then, but this British education policy was a golden chance for the Muslim intellectuals. How? They established their own education institutions to promote the Islamic culture, religion, and the customs. And then later on, these education institutions played a vital role in the freedom movement. In the next chapter, inshallah, in our second chapter, we are going to discuss it in detail, and the role of Sir Syed Ahmad Khan, that how he changed the whole scenario at that time, how he changed the whole educational system at that time for the Muslims. Thank you.